boys, I finally got my HE221. This is a used unit off a guy on eBay, so it came out of Texas, I believe. Paid $300 US for it. Cheapest HE221 that I could get out of Canada. An original Cummins one, or Cummins OEM, which is still made by Wholeset, would set me back about $2,000 Canadian. Right now the exchange is 75 cents, so you can do the conversion. A cartridge for it is 1,200 bucks, but this one doesn't say China on it anywhere and is directly from Cummins. So what you do need though to put the HE221 on is, because everything's different, and it does come off of a Cummins, but the 4.2 liter, I believe, the ISV, the new one. So it's small, and generally we think go big or go home, but not the case for turbos. The smaller they spool, the smaller they are, the quicker they spool. So what you do need is, and I like to see this, how it comments. So what do we got here? We've got a clamp. Fancy, look at that. Shiny, new. So that would fit on there. And this is the new drain tube and the fill. So I still need to get a hose, I guess. Crap. Hose for my fill. And then I also get my exhaust housing to a 3-inch, which goes on the back here like so. Look at that, it's even the right bolt pattern. Excited about that. And then this is my fill, my air breather to 3.5 inches. So I hope that's 3.5. It's 3-inch. Of course, well, I'm gonna have to figure out a new rubber here too. So it's not as simple as just taking a turbo and throwing it on, because now I gotta find another boot. But I think I went from 3-inch to 3.5 to fit the, I can't remember what I did with that other turbos anymore, but yeah, pretty excited. I'm gonna throw these on. I'm still waiting for a adapter plate to fit the manifold on to put the flange on, but it's a cute little turbo, wastegated. Right now I'm getting about 30 pounds of boost under load when the torque converter locks up, and we'll see what this little girl does, if this makes a big difference or not. So here we go. So the HE221W Wholeset turbocharger. Supposedly the cat's ass for this 3.9 Cummins that's in my Tahoe. Pulled off the H1C, and this is the girl that's going on. And it better be, because it took a lot of work to get it ready to put on the engine. First off, the turbo did not come with the flange to go from a T25 to the T3 that goes on to the 5.9 exhaust manifold. It didn't come with the exhaust housing. It did not come with my outlet pipe, and it did not come with the fill tube fitting or the drain fitting, which is right here. Now each one of those needed customizing. I had to redo the exhaust because now my exhaust is this much farther back than it originally was, so I had to take that off of the exhaust. I had to make a sharper corner going around. There's no bend that was able to do that. It's going 3 different ways, and then it has to come down around, avoid the starter, and then go beside the bell housing. So that took a little bit, and it's so tight that I have to weld this piece in there when it's in the truck because I can't get it over a couple of the support mounts. The cartridge here is held in place by a band on this side and a snap ring on this side, and it only goes in one spot because of a little pin that lines up with the dowel. I had to pull those pins out because the way it sat with the exhaust housing, the drain and the fill were not right. So you have to get the drain and the fill completely vertical so that the oil goes in and out as easy and as quickly as possible. In doing so, I had to make a new bracket for my wastegate, and the wastegate is also on the wrong side. So I actually had to make this whole bracket underneath that puts the actuator on one side, goes underneath, and actuates the wastegate on the other side. The threads were so tight that I couldn't spin a fitting against it because it would hit the turbine housing. So I machined the threads off and press fit a 5 thou interference drain pipe from a scrap 5.9 on here, and then my drain tube will just clamp onto there. This intake pipe was also way too long. It was like another it took about 1.5 inches, 2 inches off, and had to re-weld it to make it fit. Other than that, it was I've got about a day into this stupid turbocharger fabricating this, so it better put a smile on my face when I tromp on it. I don't want crazy boost, I just want a little bit more boost, so I hope it's worth it. So here we go. So the turbo is on after a lot of work. I got a full day into this, spread over 3 days because it's the holidays and everything's taking longer. Before you fire up any turbo, it's very important, you have to prime it. So fill the top up with oil, and then while you're doing that, I got one hand on the camera, but you can just turn the blade and you can see the oil go down. That's a good sign. Spin it, then put your line back on and disconnect the fuel to your injection pump and just crank it over until you have oil pressure. That ensures that that turbo does not fire up dry. You will do all your damage in the first 5 seconds if you fire this thing up dry. So we're going to tighten that up. We're going to disconnect the fuel, crank it over, and we're going to fire this girl up. Here we go. Alright, so I've never been able to get boost just not under load, so let's see what happens. We'll fire up the truck here. Tiny whistle, and I always miss that off the H1C. They just can't hear the turbo. Let it warm up a little. That actually rides really nice. I like this. 10 pounds. I'm not going to step into it yet until I warm up a little bit. I like that. Okay, so we're doing about 90 now. I'm just back off the throttle, and I'm running at about 2 pounds now, which is perfect. Just a tiny bit of boost when you're just cruising along. I can very faintly hear the whistle when we're cruising, and as a driver of a diesel, you love that whistle, but I'm sure that the passengers don't appreciate it as much. But this is faint enough that I don't think the passengers will even really notice it. Like I can hear it because I know it's there. So it's just perfect. I'm loving this turbo. A lot of work, but it's definitely worth it. Wow. Oh, that is nice. The turbo locks up, or the torque converter locks up. Wow, just like that, $120. Nice. I think, so the wastegate went at about 30 pounds, so I could probably get another 5 or 10 out of it. I probably don't want to go much more than 40, but oh, I like that. Right there. See that needle? And then when you back off, that's when the wastegate goes. So, ooh, nice. I like it. My EGTs are a lot cooler just cruising. When I really tromp on it, what's happening is because the turbo is smaller, it spins faster, gives me more boost, but at the top end it actually restricts the exhaust. So the EGTs do get higher at the top end. So if you're putting a 4BT in to pull something all the time, this might not be the right turbo, but I think the Tahoe weighs 7,000 pounds now, maybe closer to 8. And it's at about between 600 and 700 degrees, cruising at about 90. And I've got about 3-4 pounds of boost cruising. So ready? Go. sets 80 with the same tires, and I was probably 1,300 there. Nice. I'm gonna do that again one more time just in case. It's kind of damp out, so I'm gonna take the air breather out. It's not dusty at all. I'm gonna take the air breather off the turbo so we can hear the whistle and then hear the wastegate go too. So 1, 2, 3. Right there. You can hear it dumps off there. And stop. Nice. So there's that hesitation just because the wastegate is coming on. So I might turn it up a little bit, but I'm not going to be pounding on it like that normally. But it does show you the power difference between the H1C and the HE221. Both of them whole sets. I think the first time we took it out without turning the fuel up, and the original turbo, it was 16 seconds to get up to 80, and I think we're at, I bet you we're about half of that now. So. I would highly recommend this HE221. All said and done, buying a turbo, a used one, but an original Cummins one. I bought it for 600 bucks off eBay. I do not recommend the Chinese ones. You can get them for about $1,000 bucks brand new. I've heard horror stories of them blowing up. So, and then the piping, the new hose, all the other pieces that you saw in the video almost brought it up to about $1,000 bucks to get that turbo on. So I'm gonna leave it the way it is, dumping it off at 30 pounds for now. I don't think I'll hit too much higher than that anyway. I'm gonna see what kind of mileage I'm gonna get, and we'll make another video when I get an accurate 10,000, 15,000 K on there and see what mileage I am getting. So around town, I could squeeze, if I took it easy and squeezed it on the H1C, I could get about 800 kilometers to a 90-liter tank. So, and then cruising to the cottage, I almost got another 100 kilometers. So I think I was like 880, and the light was on, and I had my family with me, so I didn't want to run the tank dry. We'll see what happens with the H1 or the HE221 if it makes any difference. I really want to get 900 around town, and I want to get 1,000 kilometers to a 90-liter tank, and but the only way to do that is to really go for a nice long cruise. I think we got a lot of neat things coming up this summer, so I think we're gonna do that. We're hoping for a road trip down to Texas, and otherwise some car shows out in the states across the border there in Michigan we might go to. So we'll be able to find a more accurate reading of like a non-stop trip then. So yeah, I'm very happy the way it runs, even idling down to 300 degrees. I think before it was closer to 500. So my training's nice and warm now with me beating on it, but even about 5 stop and goes as hard as I can, it's still only 160 degrees, so it really should be fine. So if anything, this is gonna go first, but I've got about 15,000-20,000, I don't know, somewhere around there, 15,000-20,000 K on the Tahoe now. Really happy with it. So yeah, here we go. So follow a variety of projects that include conversions and repairs to anything from Ferraris to chainsaws. And check out the Tape Boss, my newest invention that's coming to market. And remember, if you're not filthy, you're not rich.